Now, if I have to choose one of these two shoes, which one am I going for? Well, so these are two shoes that I normally wouldn't do a comparison review with, but I'm listening to you guys out there. Actually got a few requests with this one, which is actually interesting because I definitely put these two shoes in different categories, but I will do the comparison review to make a few of you guys out there happy. So we've got the ASICS Novablast 5 up against the ASICS Glideride Max. So I'll go through the similarities, differences, and the key features, and hopefully from that, that'll give you guys a great indication of choosing which of these two shoes is right for you. But before we get into it, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And in the specs, they're both neutral road running shoes, but both in different categories for me. So this is your typical daily trainer, and this one's in that max cushion category. So with our price, so you're going to pay a little bit more for the Glideride Max in both countries, but there certainly is more of a price difference there in the US. Now in the weight, bit of a difference there in the weight. Can you feel that on the foot? Well, yes, the Nova 5 does feel much lighter on the foot, feels a lot more airy, feels a lot more nimble. And in the stack height, so you're going to have a taller stack in the Glideride Max. Can you feel that when you're wearing both these two shoes? Yes, you can. You feel much higher off the ground in the Glideride Max, more so than the Nova. And in the drops, I can't really feel the difference between those two. And in our uppers, so both using a version of engineered mesh, but in the Nova, it's a jacquard mesh is what they're calling it. Now, the big difference between these two uppers is just the thickness and the breathability of the uppers. So the Nova 5, the material is much thinner and it is much more breathable. So you're going to get a much hotter shoe here in the Glideride Max. Now, in our padding departments, they have both got a plush amount of padding around the heel collar. Lots and lots of padding, but what you've got here, you've got a bit of a heel flare in the Nova 5 that you don't have in the Glideride Max. Both have got pull tabs there, which I haven't really had to use in either shoe. The tongues are very different as well, so you're going to get a pretty thin tongue. This tongue is very much what you're going to find on the Superblast 2 if you've got that, or it's pretty similar to the Novablast 4 tongue, but it's a gusseted tongue, much thinner, sort of reminds me of a wetsuit material. And the tongue in the Glideride Max, it's more of a puffy type tongue. It's still a gusseted tongue, but there's a little bit more padding here. With our lacing system, Glideride Max, it is just a standard lacing system, no internal straps or anything like that, but you barely have to use these laces because the volume of the shoe is really low. With the Nova 5, lacing system totally different here. They've got some cables down the bottom of the shoe just to help cinch this pretty roomy toe box up, but it goes up into a much more of a traditional type lacing system at the top, but both shoes have had no issues with the laces coming undone. The lockdown is excellent in the Nova 5, but in the Glideride Max, and for me, it's too good. I said the low volume in this shoe, it makes me feel like I'm a bit suffocated in this shoe because you feel lockdown everywhere in the shoe. So yeah, I feel a bit suffocated in this one, where I really like how the Nova 5 provides a great lockdown. Now in the fit, totally different here. So in the Nova 5, I'm going to say it's true to size, but it does feel like it's a bit more of a roomy toe box. Yeah, a lot more volume in it, and because this material is just so much thinner and so much more forgiving, where the Glideride Max, as I said, you feel really closed in, really narrow. So for me, with this shoe, I would go either half size up, or I would definitely get the wider version in this model. And with our outsole, so two totally different designs going on here. So with the Glideride Max, the rubber that they're using here is their hybrid ASICS grip. So that's a mix of that amazing ASICS grip that's amazing in all conditions, and also that AHA. So a bit of a mix of that. It's going to boost durability while still keeping the grip. Now the grip in the Glideride Max, even though the actual tread pattern is not so aggressive, the grip is excellent in all conditions. So absolutely amazing. You can see we've got a lot of rubber coverage there. It's just one big sort of horseshoe shape around the shoe. But you'll see we've got this big exposed channel through the middle of the shoe of exposed foam. So that, because that's not joined down the bottom as well, so we've got a bit of a gap here in the rubber, that does still let this midsole splay a bit, and it sort of doesn't take too much away from the ride, but overall it's still got a little bit too much rubber for me on the bottom. Now with the Nova 5, so the production model of this, it's going to actually have the same rubber compound as what it was in the Nova 4, which is pretty disappointing. They've stuck to the same type of tread pattern or rubber placement as they did in the previous model. So you can see it's pretty much just segmented off. So very familiar with the Nova there. And again, that is just to aid to the ride of this shoe. So segmented off, they've got a big sort of channel that runs through the middle of the shoe. And then they've got that channel that runs through the forefoot there just to add that trampoline effect to the shoe. But pretty disappointed that they didn't use the ASICS hybrid grip like they've actually got in my early sample version here of the Novablast. So I was pretty excited that they upgraded the grip, but pretty disappointed that they didn't include the ASICS grip on the production model that is due out very soon. And so the midsoles is what everyone wants to know about. So both using that FF Blast Max. However, in the Nova 5, you are just getting a full slab of this FF Blast Max. So this new foam from ASICS, really exciting foam, quite soft. Got a little energy return as well, but pretty simple design what's going on here. Just one big slab of that, no plate in the shoe. So we have got some flexibility in this shoe. Yep, so certainly a neutral shoe here. Now geometry wise, we have got pretty traditional geometry if you're familiar with the rest of the Novablast series, so it hasn't changed too much. A little bit of some curvature there in the front just to take any slappiness out of the ride, but not overly a rocketed shoe. And in the Glideride Max, as I just mentioned, it does have FF Blast Max, but it's dual density foam. So they've just got a thin layer of that exciting foam just at the top of this shoe. Then under that, they've got a 3/4 plastic plate to give this shoe a little bit of rigidity. Now in the stiffness department, this is a stiffer shoe than the Nova. Yeah, certainly much more stable than the Nova. And then under the plastic plate, they have got the FF Blast Plus Eco Foam, and that's the same foam that you're going to find in the Nimbus and the Kayano as well. Now geometry wise, they have got a 4-foot rocker, so pretty early stage rocker, and that's what the Glideride series has been famous for, this nice early meta stage rocker, which you can certainly feel just standing around in the shoe. So it definitely does have a bit of a tip forward. And in our rides, although both these two shoes are soft, they deliver two totally different experiences. So Nova 5, with its softness, you're going to get some excitement out of the softness. So you squish into this foam quite easily, but you get some energy return, you get some pop, you get a good amount of bounce. So it's still got that Novablast DNA, that trampoline effect, without being too crazy or too wild like the first model of this shoe had. So yeah, very exciting ride. It's very nimble on the shoe. It feels quite light, and it's very happy and very comfortable at a wide variety of paces. With our Glideride Max, so this one, yeah, much more of a safer shoe. So the softness in this shoe is totally different. So there's less squish in this shoe, even though you can squish through this top layer of that Max foam quite easily, but then it gets muffled or it gets muted out really quickly by the Eco Foam underneath, and then it just starts feeling like the Nimbus. So lots of shock absorption from the road, not much road feel, but then again, not much bounce or excitement as well. Just pretty safe, very protected from the road. Now this rocket geometry, it doesn't feel as rocket as the previous models of the Glideride Max, and that's just because it's just not stiff enough for me, because you can still bend the shoe, and if you want a big rocket shoe to feel that efficiency out of a big aggressive rocker, the shoe needs to be stiff, and I don't think this shoe is stiff enough, and I think that the foam is just a little bit too soft as well to get the most out of this ride. But yeah, yes, it's rocket, but it's not overly rocket, and again, it's efficient, but again, it's not an overly efficient shoe that you want your rocket shoes to be. All in all though, it pretty much feels like a rocket Nimbus with a little bit more bounce. And best use, so Nova 5 is, yeah, it's your typical daily trainer. It's going to be able to handle most runs that you throw at it. It's great for your easy days, so your daily miles. It's soft enough for your recovery days. It's got enough pop and responsiveness to it to handle your lighter workouts, so some tempo workouts or some fartleks as well. It's also got enough cushion to handle your long runs as well. Now with the Glideride Max, now this one is designed for your long run. However, I don't think it's that good at a long run. It's certainly okay for a long run, but certainly long runs under 2 hours, because this shoe, it just gets a bit too soft and a bit too hot, and I think a bit too lethargic for those really, really long runs over 2 hours. So yeah, long runs under 2 hours. But this one for me really shines at those recovery days, your easy days. So these shock absorption properties that the foam provides really does protect your legs when you need a bit of protection from the road. And this just slight rocker as well, it still does help tick the legs over on those days when you're struggling. And just wrapping it up here, so although both these two shoes do boast that brand new foam, they are both really delivering two different experiences. So remember with the Nova 5, we've just got the FF Blast Max foam as the complete midsole foam. So it's not going to get toned down by anything. You're getting the real experience of that foam. Whereas the Glideride Max, it's just got that really thin layer of it, and then it's just got, and then it's sort of, it's muted out or it's toned down by the foam that's underneath. The Nova 5, remember, is your typical daily trainer. That's what it's designed at. It's a fun daily trainer, very versatile, can handle a wide variety of paces, and a nice and pretty light shoe on the foot as well. Glideride Max, pretty safe shoe. Remember, it's a max cushion shoe, pretty rocket as well, and it's a little bit more stable than what you're going to get in the Nova 5. Now, if I have to choose one of these two shoes, which one am I going for? Well, if I want to buy a daily trainer, then 100% I'm going to go for the Nova 5. No contest here. Because in the category of daily trainers, this pretty much sits at the top of the tree for the daily trainers that are out there at the moment. Whereas if I use this as a daily trainer, I think it's a bit too hot as a shoe. I think it's a bit too heavy, and it's a bit too, there's a bit too much of the shoe for me. But even in the max cushion category where this shoe sits, and also for a long run shoe, would I buy this shoe over its other competition? Well, no, yes, it's an okay shoe, but it certainly doesn't sit at the top of the tree in its category like the Novablast 5. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. Any questions you've got regarding these two shoes, please just drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.